Hello, ladies and gentlemen, great Ambazonians. I'm just welcoming you to this very special edition on Boxing Day, Boxing Day, here in the United States of America. And somebody's watching us live from Japan. I don't know if we are still in Boxing Day or we already crossed over to the week. But in the United States, in Europe, and in most of Africa, we are still enjoying the Boxing Day. So there is not a boxing tournament. If you are just joining us, please, can you just do us a favor now by sharing? Just share. If I see 25 viewers, I see 50 viewers, let it be 50 different, let it be 50 shares or 100 shares. Let the number of shares be equal to the number of viewers because of the importance of our broadcast today. God bless you as you do. Myself, I will endeavor to do some sharing now. I perceive that I am on my page, so I have to share on my timeline. I think that's how it is done. So do so. God bless you as you personally invite some people to join us. Those people who are inclined to know the truth, to labor for the truth. I encourage you to join us right now. God bless you. Let me show my timeline. So let's take our anthem again, if you don't mind. This is the most beautiful anthem on the face of the earth.
Ambazonia, land of freedom, ye shall live in plenty, meeting our need. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God be the watchman of His nation. Ambazonia, land of freedom, ye shall live in plenty, meeting our need. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God be the watchman of His nation.
I'm welcoming you. I welcome you, everybody. I just want to throw a salute for these great warriors. These great warriors, all for one, one for all. Dr. Walters, Giovanni Roy, you are welcome. I mean, those of you who are appearing, you're not sharing. Fidelis, Amba, I bless you, I hail you, thank you for joining. And Tonton Bakala, I know you're waiting for me for so long. I'm sorry, there was a mix-up because I advertised 2 times. I said, Eastern time, which I am in the Eastern time zone, and then I made a mistake. I thought I wrote 6 p.m. Amba, which is supposed to correspond to midday Eastern, but I went ahead and wrote 1 p.m. Eastern, and I'm keeping the Eastern time. So some people think I'm 1 hour late. I'm sorry about that. Next time I will be careful to match the two. Kemi Ashu, I thank God for you, for everything you are doing for this struggle to spread the truth around. So you're welcome to the broadcast. And hello. Thank you for making it to the broadcast. Hope you're shared. Hope you are calling some people to join us right now. So next time I will just give you Amba time. Maybe I won't talk about Eastern time because it causes this confusion. And another thing I want to explain to you is that I did advertise that Dr. Nick Santos was supposed to be with me today as my co-host, but we had to shift it to tomorrow because we'll be coming live tomorrow at midday. We want to iron out some things. As much as it will be within my powers, I will be coming on regularly on the show because we build this revolution on social media. We use this as the platform to disseminate the truth and information to everybody. But for a while now, because of my functions, and I have been withdrawn from my space. So I'm taking it back fully. I will be answering your questions and making my comments and educating the masses as I used to do. I know that where there's absence of information, the rumors will prosper. Rumors will prevail. So I want to do my best to give you information and sometimes to educate us ahead of certain things. So if you like it, then just give me some likes on the screen because that's what I will do anyway. God bless you. Bless you. Today, I want to say some things. I don't know how long this video will be, but this is Boxing Day. If you have some time to rest on your chair and listen to me, just do so, because I want to say some deep things concerning this struggle. Number one, I want you to understand that it is a great betrayal for an intellectual who is supposed to be the eye among the blind to see something as it is and say something else. That is unforgivable. And unfortunately, that's what we are suffering today. That's what we have suffered since in the days of the La Republique. We have intellectuals, people who were educated, who were trusted by their people and their communities. They went they went to the table with the powers that be and instead struck a deal for themselves and abandoned the people. I've always assured you that that will not be the case with me. No. I have never worked with the government, not because I wasn't qualified or I was not connected. One of the prime ministers that have been in Cameroon, we are from the same village. And with all the education and competence that I had in the private sector, I just needed to play the game. And probably I will be one of those next generation of ministers that will be surviving them. But because I refused to play the game, many times proposed, I refused to play the game. And that's why I had no accommodation. There was no place to accommodate me. And that's why I find myself in the diaspora. For some people who say they have been fighting this fight, and yet they had such a cozy relationship with the regime. They had positions in that government where you must be a bootlicker and you must be a quasi-CPDM operative for you to be promoted. And they benefited so much in that system for them to come out today and tell me that they have been in the struggle for so many years. That leaves more questions than answers. Those who have been in this struggle for years, they fell out with the system a long time ago. They didn't fall out with the system some few months ago. They fell out. You cannot be in this struggle standing in opposition to the hegemony, opposing it from every angle, and you enjoyed so much favors and promotion and positions in the government. Then suddenly, because when the movement started by the consortium, you automatically remember that you have been part of this struggle for 20 years. No, we have been in this struggle, and the passion for it costed us so much. Costed us so much. Some people, we were advised that drop this thing. I know meetings have been called that drop this thing. You are brilliant, you are intelligent, you are the kind of people we want. Drop this thing that you are doing. Say you are doing good, you are going with SDF, you are going with this, you are writing this trash, you are writing on press. Come here, come join us. That is what it takes to be in the struggle. If you say you've been in the struggle for so many years, what did you lose because of the struggle? Show me what you lost. The first thing I want to register, because I have a video which I'm going to play for you, and I'm going to take the items and the issues one by one. For some people who doubted my analytical disposition in my videos because I'm part of the government, just stay glued to your chair. I'm going to take that video and we are going to examine it one by one, item by item. Listen to me. We did not get this far into the struggle because of structures. We did not. It was more than the consortium that got us here. It was more than Skakov that got us here. It was more than the Ambazonia Governing Council that got us here. It is not structures that got us to this point of the struggle. It is a collective resolve to fight, whether we were given a name or not, whether we were described by a movement or not. There was a movement which is spiritual in us, and that is the passion that has kept us in this struggle for the restoration of our statehood up to this point. It has never been a structure. And those people who are trying to think that another structure will will bring us solution. We need a structure to replace a structure, and we need a better structure and another structure. You have a problem. We don't need no structure. The revolution lives in our spirit. And that's what brings us together. Not a structure. If for you, it takes a structure for you to agree with me concerning our journey to Buea, you have a problem. If your struggle, your vision for the success of this struggle is a structure and a better structure and another structure or a fine structure, you have a problem. You don't understand how we got here. Structures have failed us for generations. Structures came up and came down. Structures upon structures. I have heard so many names. Where did they get us to? It's not a structure that got us here. So those of you who are dreaming of designing and bringing up another structure, and you are canvassing and you are going about trying to lay the foundation for another structure, you have a problem. If you go to ground zero, they will tell you that better than me. You have a problem. Because those people in ground zero, they don't know colors. They don't know groupings. They have a yearning in their spirit. They have a fire burning inside them. They want to be free. That's the truth. something I want to talk about, the Northwest and the Southwest divide. But I will reserve that for tomorrow, so that you will not dismiss the analysis I want to do now, thinking that I just came to attack persons and not listening to the details of what I will bring. I will reserve that for tomorrow. But I want to tell you, while passing, that we may have prevailed, we may have overcome the Northwest and the Southwest divide because of our overwhelming desire for freedom. But the residue is still within many, many hearts. And in the next few days, I will visit this. I will visit this issue, because it is not all a coincidence that the people who are against the interim government are majority from a particular zone. I've never played this card before, and I'm not trying to play it. I'm trying to analyze issues. It is not a coincidence. If it is one, it's a mistake. If it is two, it's a coincidence. But if it's three, is that not a pattern? Is that not a pattern? If it's even 4 or 5, put it together. Tell me that it's a coincidence. Today, I don't want to go there. I want to answer questions that have been raised. And for you to refresh your mind, I won't mention the name of this individual, except by accident. But I will let you listen to the video, so I don't give him more publicity than he deserves. But I will allow you to listen, so that I take you through one by one. If it is too long, I will stop somewhere. Trust me, I'll be here again tomorrow to continue. When people who have been very useful to the struggle suddenly miss their focus, they need to be called to order. I have always done that. So nobody would tell me that I've been hired to do this. But listen to the substance. Maybe it may not make sense for you now. It will make sense, probably before I finish, or sometime in the future. I want you to listen to this video, this audio. It will be for you an audio. But it has to do with what I think there are certain groups of Ambazonians, what they are saying and what they are spreading. So I won't narrow it down to an individual who became their mouthpiece. But I want to consider this as some damaging opinions or clouds that have been cast over the struggle and the people that have who are in the position, like the interim government, like Mr. President Siko Tabe Ayuk Tabe. So all this, I want to bring this voice to represent some of those dissenting voices that are spreading falsehood and half-truths, and spreading and asking some questions that are obvious and some are not obvious. I want to use this opportunity to let you hear the voice, so that you hear the question I'm answering, because some people may not have heard what I will be responding to. So, no publicity intended. This is what some Ambazonians are saying, and they have the right to say it, but I also have the right to analyze what they are saying, right?
95% of them belonging to the government party to be used as surrogates to water down the opposition movement. That is exactly what La Republic is planning to do with with our liberation movements. That's exactly what La République du Cameroon is trying to do with our militias. You know, when the government of La République du Cameroon was forced to grant press freedom, what did they do? Yes, they granted press freedom. But Mr. Famandongo at that time was the head of the communications unit at the presidency of the republic. So he went ahead and created almost 150 private news organs. Yes, he created them. And what was the role of these private news organs? To mitigate the good work that was being done by the credible news organs.
Okay. Now, let me tell you what the speaker is saying. The speaker is trying to, this is something we read on social media and some newspapers, right? But he's trying to warn us, especially the leadership, to be aware of the La République's devices that they have always used to proliferate militias and self-defense groups in the various communities in order to infiltrate our defense mechanism, our defense apparatus, and then bring down our legitimate legitimate self-defense groups, and also use that opportunity to sap away energy and finances and funds from us, and by creating such fake groups. But I want to say that we should not give the impression that we don't know about these things, or that we are just some people who don't know what they are doing and who are embracing everybody. I want to assure you that we have enough eyes on ground zero. We have an effective DOD that was not created for show or for name only, that is properly manned by professionals who are professionals indeed, not on social media. They are not Facebook generals or commanders in chief. They are professionals. And we have the eyes on the ground. We have a Department of Home Affairs. We have eyes on the ground. And that's why I told you that for you, if you want any group to be properly vetted, so that you don't create a monster that will be a problem for us in Boya, fund the interim government, because we alone, more than any other group which want to consider itself separate from the government, more than every other group, have the eyes on the ground. This is not social media talk. If you ask any group that you know, whether it be the Tigers or whichever group, the people they can reach easily, that are always available, it's the Department of Defense. You can write whatever you write, comment whatever you can comment, but the truth is the truth. Yes, we don't take it to publicity. Whatever actions that are going on, whatever vetting that is going on, whatever communication that we have on the ground, does not make it a lie. I know that a lie, popularly told, will replace the truth. But I came to tell you what we are doing. If you have been told that the Department of Defense was created just to be a paper department, and that it has nothing to do with the people on the ground, it has nothing to do with the groups on the ground, it's the lie from the pit of hell. When you get into the business of government, you will know when to be silent and when to talk, when to act and say nothing, and when to act and say something. So I thank you for the information. But if the purpose of that information is to insinuate that the IG doesn't even know who is on the ground, wow, that is where it becomes troublesome. That is where it becomes troublesome. All right. Because the IG cannot be as popular as it is on the ground and does not have ears on the ground. No, just tell me. The interim government cannot be as popular in ground zero as it is. See from the way if the president gives orders, what level of obedience you have on the ground. A government cannot be so popular in ground zero and have no ears on the ground. How do you believe that? Okay, let me go forward with you so that I will take it one by one.
And making sure that the cars are carrying them crash on the way and they'll blame it on accidents. You'll be doing too many sorts of things. The reason is simple, because they have come to the conclusion that a good lot of these guys are cooperating with. I'm bringing all this up because the general talk across the board is one of unity. Everybody wants unity. But who is against unity? I've listened to Comrade Ayuktabe several times, and he's talked of the need of having everybody come together under one umbrella. I've listened to Comrade Cho Ayaba talk, and I heard him sound a note that unity is good. I've heard Comrade Akwanga, even when he got so bitter, he still talked of the importance of unity. I've heard every other person talk about unity, but I was appalled when I read one lousy, I should call it lousy because I really can't give it credibility, article that started circulating on social media on the 24th of December, that was yesterday, saying the interim president said it would be a disgrace for him to have a face-to-face meeting with Comrades Cho Ayaba, Comrade Akwanga, Von Goditinka, and all the rest, because as IP, it would be so demeaning for him to sit with them. And I said, no, this isn't happening. I said, I'm not reading the truth. I said, this is not the right thing. I said, this is not about the Ayuktabe that I have known. At least I knew him even before he became chairman of the governing council. Even before he became IP, I had known him. And I know him to be a humble man. I would doubt that he would go ahead to say such a thing. But if indeed he said...
Now, this is where deceit and bad blood is betrayed. If you hear something about me, something that you are not sure that I did it, right? You are not sure that I said it, okay? And you are somebody that have access to me. You are not somebody who doesn't have access to me. You hear that I have said something that Comrade Tabe Ayok, our Mr. President, has said something, and you see it circulating on social media. And this is somebody that is not you have access to. It's not somebody that you don't have access to. And even if you don't have access to him, you have access to somebody who has access to him. Because you have been in the government. I've never been in the government before. Okay. For you not to have contacted that person, and you bring an allegation on social media, it shows a lot of bad blood. Okay, let me take it to you. Let me talk to you about it. Your brother has heard something about you. He is not sure. He's saying here that he's not sure. This is not the person I know. I don't think this is true. Right? And then he doesn't ask you. He doesn't come to you for inquiry. He doesn't even come to your wife or your husband to ask something about what he has heard. He goes straight to the public place and starts saying and start criticizing you publicly for what is an allegation that he has not taken time to verify. How do you consider such a person? I want you to answer me for yourself. I will not give the conclusion. How do you consider such a person? How can you attack a person you know, you are close to? There are many people who even think that you are part of the interim government. You are close to. You hear this. You have access to him. And you criticize him in public based on an unverified allegation. And you are talking vehemently, quoting example with John Frundi and everything, trying to pin it on him without verification. Who are you? That is a devilish assignment. Whatever credibility you had is watered down by that alone. If you said, I approached him, or I approached Mr. Wilfred Tassa, who is very close to him, if you will not talk to him, I approached him and he confirmed to me that this is what happened, and I said, no, this is not right, then you will be making sense. If not, you are on a hit job mission. You are acting like a hitman. Because if you are not acting like a hitman, you will immediately verify it. Because why? You don't believe it is true. You cannot jump on it as an assertion, as something that is true and given, and then you start acting on it and talking on it and educating people about it, and to what is that up to? What is that amounts to trying to compromise the integrity, to water down the integrity of that individual. That's a hit job. Okay. And then what follows is the revisitation of the Fourth Conclave. It's very appalling. I thought we have gone past the Fourth Conclave. But that it becomes very relevant today because some people are contemplating the Fifth Conclave. So if you want to introduce the Fifth Conclave, you must sufficiently bring to naught the Fourth Conclave and its results. So people are bound to think that way because I thought we have gone past the Fourth Conclave and we're trying to consolidate to go forward. I mean, that's what it is for the people on ground zero. When we keep on visiting the Fourth Conclave, we are trying to lay the foundation for another conclave, if it's a conclave, or something else. So that looks like a good preparation. This video looks like a good preparation for something else that should happen after the Fourth Conclave. And a refusal to consolidate on what we have gained from the Fourth Conclave so far. So, now listen to this one. Let me answer some of these questions.
That we are running away from a country where the only institution that is functioning is the President of the Republic. But when you look at our interim government now, I'm sure all of us come to the clear conclusion that the only functional institution is the interim president. Who is he answering?
Okay. Hear this one. That we are running away from a dictatorship. I have heard this especially from everybody who is against Mr. President and everybody who is against the interim government. That we are running away from a dictatorship. And that he is not, Mr. President is not a dictator, but we are setting up a dictatorship. Okay, let me appall you people now. Let me appall everybody with this ideology. The question of who is Mr. President answerable to? And other questions came up. Who is Vice President XX? Let me tell you, let me shock everybody now. Every revolution in this world that has been and that shall be, if it is a revolution, will be a dictatorship. The very idea of a revolution, it means a group of people who believe in the common good and who pursue their desire. And when it conforms with the desires of the people follow. That, and then they are not following them because of their method, they are following them because of their destination. I don't know if I have confused you. Every revolution, whether it is the communist revolution, whether it's the Mau Mau revolution, whether it's the ANC revolution, every revolution is a dictatorship. It's a dictatorship. It's not voted. Nobody votes a revolution. Nobody goes to the place and go and say, we are voting for our revolution. No. It is a group of people who believe in the liberation, in the common good, and they organize themselves, and the people see that, oh, these people are speaking our mind, and then they follow them, and they bring the necessary change. That is what a revolution is. If you have a better idea, a better definition, you can help me right now. Tell me that that's not what a revolution is. Now, listen to me. But why do people bear with the dictatorship within a revolution? It is because even though the method of a revolution is a dictatorship, the destination of that dictatorship is not a dictatorship. When the ANC were championing the revolution to bring change in South Africa, they operated as a dictatorship. But the change they brought to South Africa was not a dictatorship. I don't know if you understand me. The change that the dictatorship brought in South Africa was not a dictatorship. But the organization that brought about the change was organized in a dictatorship model. When Thomas Sankara came up in Burkina Faso, he came up as a dictator because he used the gun. He used undemocratic means to come to power. But when he took over power, he did not establish a dictatorship. Why we bear with whatever we identify as no, the rules of democracy are not being applied. Why we bear with that is that we already have a blueprint of what will be when we get to Buea. When we get to Buea, it is not going to be a dictatorship. But when we are in the face of revolution, it is going to be a dictatorship, period. That is the truth. There is no revolution that is built on democratic principles. Because it is not organized by democratic principles. It's not organized through popular elections. You don't elect, say, well, let us do elections so that we can elect our revolution and elect. You don't do that. That's not how it is. There are some things that must happen that will happen in the manner of dictatorship. But that is not what will happen. That's why we have two constitutions now. There is a constitution that is guiding us. It's still being drafted now. They're about to go through that. It's still being drafted now. That will define how this movement that is taking us to Buea, which we call the governing, the interim government, how it is going to be organized, how it's going to function to take us to Buea. Then there is another constitution that spells clearly what Ambazonia, the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, will be when we get to Buea. It is not the final constitution, but it's a draft that prepares our mind to show us what will be when we get to Buea. We are not fighting for what is now, we are fighting for what will be when we get to Buea. Whatever is going on now, whatever is lacking, whatever is insufficient or inadequate in the structures, we don't mind. Because there are certain things that will be done undemocratically during a revolution. But we are minded mostly on what will it be when we get to Buea. And the constitution we are presented, the draft that have been presented in preparation, already spells out that it wouldn't be a dictatorship. So those people who are trying to bring the attacks on dictatorship now, you are really called, you are supposed to be called detractors. You have been hired to weaken the hand of the revolution. Because everybody knows that if you want to attack a revolution, say that they are undemocratic. Because it's just like saying that if you want to attack a lizard, say that he has scales. If you want to attack a lizard, just start talking about scales. Because a lizard has scales. There is no way you can organize a revolution and there is nothing of dictatorship in that revolution. There has never been one. We are in a revolution. We are in a revolution. When we get to Buea, accuse me of dictatorship. Accuse Mr. President Siseko of dictatorship then. But for now, it is going to be some dictatorship. Please, that is the truth. Nobody bribed me to say that. I just told you the truth as it is. It is true in Amazonia. It is true in South Africa. It is true in anywhere in the world. Then so you can start asking that, who is the president answerable to? And he is the only institution that is, this is very disingenuous. Let me ask you something. After the fourth conclave, there's only one position or arm of government that was filled. Every other one was decided upon. The only one that was filled was the position of the president. Hello? I wasn't there. If you were there and it was not so, can you comment that it was not so? The only position that was filled was the position of the president. Because that he was voted unanimously unopposed. Even with the people who disagreed with the conclave, they agreed on the appointment of Mr. Siseko Tabe Ayuk as the president of going forward. So that was the only position that was filled by the conclave. So it is but natural that coming out of the conclave, it was the only institution that was running, that was effective, that was operational. That was the only institution that was operational. He was the president. And for the president to appoint his cabinet, it was a natural thing that was expected. But the decisions were taken, so you find the scaffold and the structures were still there, but it was written in resolution 30, item 34 of the resolution that will only be dissolved when the government is fully put in place. And then the question arises. Why is the president, the vice president, not? Why is he an XXX? Why is he a president? Why is there a vice president called Vice President XX? And so you want to use that to talk about how if the president dies today or is not there, God forbid, and then there will be confusion. Revolutions don't have confusion. You can say what you like. Whatever decision needs to be taken, we just gather in one caucus, that decision will be taken. That's how revolutions work. Revolutions can hold meetings and within a period of 24 hours, they can meet. Or 48 hours if people have to travel. And that decision will be made. That's how revolutions work. For you to begin to say that not having the vice president as XX is dangerous. Who told you that? There are two things that are your problem, if that's your idea. Is that number one, you don't want anybody from ground zero to be part of the government. Because there's no way a person from ground zero will be part of this government, and you want us that we should expose that person. So that's my conclusion. You don't want anybody from ground zero. Anybody from ground zero to be part of this government. You don't want it. So I'm just helping you to say exactly the words you should have used. For you to say that, number two, for you to attack the wisdom that said the vice president should be XXX, ground zero, for you to attack that wisdom, it means number two, it means you want the vice president to come from the diaspora. It means probably you want to be the president, or you have somebody in the diaspora you want to make the vice president. Those are the two facts that come out from that statement. It means you are on a mission campaigning for somebody in the diaspora to be the vice president. So come out plainly and tell us who is that person you have in mind to to be the vice president. So stop talking around. Because you cannot tell us that we should expose the comrade who you know will be automatically arraigned by the system for a treasonable offense and will be thrown in jail, might even be killed. And you are telling us that by not bringing his name out, even if he's in ground zero, it's a bad thing. Something is wrong with you. There should be somebody in ground zero. They are working. Because they don't have access on Facebook and they don't come out to talk, it doesn't mean they are not working. They are working. And it is better that way. The more of them we have on ground zero who are committed and they see themselves as part of this government, the better. If anything happens to the president and we need to replace, we'll replace by the president. It doesn't follow that it must be the vice president that will take over the revolution based on our situation right now. And the council will make that determination. And we can do it within 48 hours. Let me tell you this. And somebody is concerned about item 34 of the conclave resolution. That they added it. It was like a cabal just gathered together, added it without the knowledge of others. And it is shameful for some people who were part of that revolution to come and say they don't know about it. Okay, let me school you on what happens in things like that. When a meeting is held, at the end of that meeting, there will be a resolution drafting committee. I don't know if that's the case, but I know how these things work in meetings, in big conferences. There is going to be a resolution drafting committee. And when the resolution drafting committee drafts a resolution, they bring it back to the executive. So that if there are some things that are needed, the polishing, the final polishing of the positions, of the decisions that were taken, they are going to be brought up, put in point form on that resolution. They will be brought back for signature. So there is no way a secret cabal can decide to add something in a revolution, in a resolution of a meeting, without it passing through the resolution drafting committee. And without that item being approved by the executive of that conference, who have to sign the resolution. So what is all this? And what is that item that was added by a secret cabal, so-called? What's that item? That item was redundant. That item was redundant. I don't know if you know what that means. It means that if you consider the rest of the resolutions, before you get to 34, you will discover that it was redundant. Number one, you will read points that say that the functions that were carried on by Skakov were already attributed by the governing council, were already attributed to a revolution council, a restoration council. The functions that were attributed to the chairman were already going to be carried on by the president of the interim government. So you see that there was already a transformation of that Skakov into a government. There was already a transformation. And that transformation will only need some additions to what was already existing. And when there is a transformation, the original loses its existence. I don't know if I'm speaking too much grammar, I'm confusing some people. Where there is a transformation, let me give you an example. If I transform this thing into a book, the book starts existing and the pen ceases to exist. That's what I mean. So if that item was not originally there and the resolution drafting committee saw that this is obvious and they put it there, what makes it some secret dangerous thing that was added? If you are not on a hit mission, they have transformed one thing to another, and then they have just I've just added a word at the end that the old ceases to exist as soon as this one comes into effect. How is that one some dangerous thing that we need to stop talking about fundraising now? We will only be talking about this kind of thing. Okay, let me not get too fired up, because some of the nonsense does not make sense. There is some sense in some nonsense, but some of the nonsense are totally nonsense. Sincerely, it was difficult for me to listen to some of this, but because of you, I will keep on playing it so that I would show you clearly that I'm not talking from my head. I'm analyzing things that were said by some people, intelligent people. So the president did not come out as another dictator. He was chosen by that conclave. Being the only one whose post was filled, he exercised his right. And if there's any question, let me help you. There is a constitution. If you want to bring any other, if you want to organize any other hit job, let that constitution come out. After you have read that constitution, then attack us. Don't attack us when you don't even know the document that is regulating this stage of the revolution, what it says. You don't know what the constitution says. Or do you think that we are not going to have any document, we don't have any document that is regulating the functioning of this revolution? You should have started from there and say, how can this be the rule? Based on this document. Then maybe we will listen to you. The constitution will state clearly what happens if the president is not there. Start from there. I would think that you are serious. Don't begin to talk as if we are a bunch of disorganized people, incompetent people who don't even know where we are going, and we don't even know what will happen if a president is not there, and what will happen if the person in ground zero cannot take over. Why don't you talk based on the document which we have presented as the document that is guiding the revolution? That will make more sense. You say that he has power to handpick people. No. How do you say he has power to handpick? Which document said so? Where did you read that? That is just an allegation. And for somebody who is close to the government to make such allegations without any substance, it makes you dangerous. It casts a cloud on whatever credibility you ever had. Some of us, when we were outside the government, we were very far away. I did not have any privilege to speak to anybody. But I would say the things I needed to say. But if you have the privilege of being closer, even a quasi-insider, and you make such allegations without any, you will say how you consulted 90% of the people, and this is what they say. How can you consult 90% of attendees of a conclave, and you did not consult the only person who was involved in what you want to talk about? How can there is something involving the president, and you had to consult, or involving the resolution which the president approves, and now you consult 90% of the people to find out that you did not consult the only person that will be attacked in your video? You have a problem. You have a problem. Because you say you consulted 90%, it means you are looking for the truth, right? How can you consult 90% and the only person that will be under attack in your video, you did not consult that person? I have handled some few things about revolution to show you that every revolution is a dictatorship. Yet there are many things that will be done according to democratic norms. But for you to expect the revolution to be entirely organized and governed as a democracy, you have a problem. You don't know, you don't understand. Give me one, if you say I am lying, give me one single revolution that you know in history that was organized on democratic principles. Give me one. Write it there now, write it. That was organized entirely on democratic principles. But the most important thing is that when the revolution succeeded, they established a democracy. That's what is more important. That's what it is. At this point when we're trying to raise money to do the hard things, to stop so that we don't make videos and make self-publicity and not do the job. We want the money to do the job. And so we are organizing ourselves and presenting ourselves to the people to win their trust. Then this kind of hit job is going on. Let me talk to you about SCAPAC. Because the next thing that is on this audio I'm talking about here is the attacks on SCAPAC. That SCAPAC has been pushed to the rear because it was strict on a good financial stewardship. So in order for, now, presenting the IG now to be a bunch of crooks who will not like to work with SCAPAC because SCAPAC was too strict and was paying attention to all those details on proper financial stewardship. And so in order to continue the corruption, they put it aside. That is devilish. That's terrible. But let me tell you this. Let me tell you this about SCAPAC. Let me tell you the version. I wasn't in SCAPAC before when these things happened. I wasn't in government. So let me tell you something, which I think I'm free to tell you this one. It is that all of us, we're all in the social media space. We know exactly the allegations of financial impropriety that surrounded SCAPAC. True or false? We don't want to say whether true or false. But all of us, we know of those allegations and how they affected the confidence of the people going forward with SCAPAC. We know that very well. And so a government was voted in place. What did you expect the government to do? To come and continue with the O? And let me tell you, if I am in government, I should be free to examine the issues the way they are. The interim government was not obliged to continue on the line of the governing council of SCAPAC. We have brains, we have new blood, we have new people who came. I did not join the interim government to come and continue from where SCAPAC ended. I joined to come and examine what was on the table and see what modifications can be put in place. And it was part of the calculation that we have to put SCAPAC away with all the baggage, so that we can present something that will be credible to the people, that will be trusted by the people, based on the new government that is in place. Not because we are indicting the SCAPAC, not because we agree that they are bad, they are evil, they are corrupt, they are this. No, because we needed to present something new that is identified with the new government, so that we can win the trust of those who think that there were some things that were really, really wrong with the past system. That is what happened. So you see that. Let me also tell you something. Let me ask you a few questions, if you can answer them. Was SCAPAC a non-governmental organization or a limited liability company? Do you know? You don't know. But when the government comes into place, people with brains and who can reason, who with experience in various in industry and in government, and international systems. They are not obliged to continue with a system that was put in place. They have to examine what was on the table. What are the problems? What are the flaws? What we should do better? When you celebrated the appointment of this government, you are celebrating people that are able to come and sit together and do something better. And that's what they did. That's what they did. And let me remind you something. That if you are in the US and you know the US law or the Britain, if there are many things that a non-governmental organization cannot do with its money. Do you know that? Did you know that? Did you know that there are many things that a non-governmental organization cannot do with its money? Do you know that there are things that the government of Amazonia may want to do, which if their money is in the hands of a non-governmental organization, they cannot do? When we took over, we decided to do the best without going to social media and blowing the trumpet and telling lies. We started to examine what is on the table and how best to do this for the good of this struggle. We have to organize the collection of this finance in a way that we can function and do everything that we have to do. Without falling in trouble with the government, the host government, without falling into trouble with our people who expect transparency from us. For you to make that as a line of attack to bring down the integrity and the trust in the IG, you have a problem. Because if you even met somebody like me, I'm down there, I'm not up there. Or you met some people and you discuss with them. Not people within the IG that see like you. Because you are in the box when you do that. If you came out of the box and met some people, probably you will not make yourself, you will not disgrace yourself on social media. Because I have confidence in the Secretary of State for Economy and Finance. Very qualified individual, very competent, whether in the private sector, in any organization in the world. And when minds like that, we put our heads together and want to do the best thing for the struggle. You just sit there somewhere, pick your keyboard and your phone, you say that, you say what you say without care. You don't care for information. If you care for information, you will get it. If you can take your pains to consult 90% of a people in order to get an opinion, why didn't you do it on the Scapac issue? Especially with the new government, and ask them, where are you going with this? Instead of grandstanding on social media. Because if you met me, I'm not even part of the economic, the Department of Economy and Finance. But I know many things because I've been drafted into some of their committees. And then you make Comrade Milan's investigation, you wrap all these stories like that in order to present Mr. President as untrustworthy. Are you kidding me? By the way you have spoken in your video, in that video, by the way some people are speaking, you are calling Mr. President a liar. So let me ask you a few things. That he lied that his panel was set up, or some group was set up to examine the issues, and he was found to have done no wrong. I don't know, I'm trying to paraphrase because I don't have enough time. But let me ask you something. And you say you have investigated the people who attended the conclave, about how many you have contacted, about how many percent. You have very high percentages. Okay, was that supposed to have taken place in the conclave? All the people who are in charge of Scapac or the oversight, were they all in the conclave? Did the president say that the conclave sat down in a group, in a committee, and examined the issue with him? Don't you know how conferences can be held today? Don't you know that you can be in Copenhagen? I am in DC. and the other person can be in Japan, and we are able to examine an issue and come to terms with that, maybe you should have asked the question to the person that is close to you, who you have still access to. I'm sure you still have the Mr. President's phone number in your phone. Some of you do. He is very open. If he doesn't answer you, he will call back. Why don't you call him and find out how it happened than to make it an issue? Because here's the thing. When you attack somebody on something that you don't know exactly about it, you don't know whether it happened or not, now the attack will take its toll in that individual. When you now know the truth, how will you repair it? How will you repair the damage? How will you correct it? Especially when it has to do with the leadership of the leadership. Unless you don't believe in the leadership. So you use that as any opportunity to just throw some sink waste on the person to see whether it will stick. Just throw anything there, it might stick. Just throw it if it might stink, it might sink. It's just throw the sink on him, it might stick on him, and that will be his own. So here's the thing. When we say that Saudi Cameroon Broadcasting Corporation will be independent, it's a matter of structural, managerial, financial independence. It is not synonymous to privatization. When you make such insinuations, it is being dishonest. You can secure, corporations, state corporations in many countries, they operate independently of the central government. They are not funded by the central government. Essentially, that's what it means. For a state corporation to be independent, it means that it can raise its own money through the market, through the clients, through sponsors. But it's not going to depend on the central treasury to pay its workers and to run the show. That is a good challenge to the leadership of that organization to source for ways and means to run itself without being a burden on the central government. It will cause that the administration of that company to be business minded, to see ways and means of commercializing and monetizing their services. They might resort to advertisement. They might resort to sponsorship of programs. They might resort to a lot of things of reaching out to people to get help so that the central government can focus on the things that are necessary. For you to say that, that is tantamount to privatizing the SCDC, my brother, this one is more than a sniper. That position is more than a sniper. How can that be? How can these two things be the same? And let me also give this as a warning. How the interim government, it started with the president, and then the Restoration Council came to first, second, and next, and they are electing or appointing people or confirming people for different positions after the president. Let me tell you, in a revolution, at the speed at which things are evolving, okay, some things may not happen in the order of our expectations. In the speed at which things are happening, the change is taking place from ground zero to the government and the governing council and those who are in charge. The speed at which things are taking may not permit us to do things in a chronological order as we expect. But the most important thing is look at the document that is governing us. Look at the blueprint of what we want to achieve when we get to Boya. That's the most important thing. You want everything to be in place, this one to come, and the next one, chronological order, and so on. Wait, it will be so in Boya when we get to Boya. Here, something happens this evening. News hits us from ground zero, and the agenda changes the next moment. That is what it is with a revolution. Or this one's supposed to come before this one. This other one's supposed to come before this one. See, in this situation that we are, in this struggle stage that we are right now, things don't happen that way. You know what? What you are calling flaws in the system, in the IG, you call it flaws, right? You say they are flaws. They are no flaws. They are no flaws. They are the natural imperfection found in every construction site. Have you understood me? If you go to any construction site, you are going to find some natural imperfections. You find a peg standing in the wrong place. You find half a pillar not fully done. You will find a hole still open over there. You will find a piece of plank here. You will find a piece of zinc here. You will find a piece of metal or a nail in the wrong place. That is not, those are not flaws. Those are not flaws. They are the natural imperfection which is characteristic of every foundation. If you are a builder, you will point those things out to the people that matter, and those things will they will be put in place. You cannot capitalize on that and say, demolish this thing, demolish this thing. Look at it, look at that other pillar there, it's half, it's not fully complete. In fact, you were supposed to dig this place before you put this wall here. Demolish everything. You have a problem. You have a problem. Because there is no construction site that is everything in place. And we are in a construction site right now. We are in a construction site. We are building. That's what I mean. If you have an idea of what we will do to build, if you have an idea of what we will do to build, come on with the idea. Because see, in a construction, during a construction stage, the people are more excited about the finished work, because the architect always show you the final picture. They show you the final design, what it will look like. They even show you the elevations, elevation A, elevation B, the front elevation. They show you the whole design. Then the 3D designers, they show you exactly the finished work, what it is. That is what encourages us when we are in a construction site. We don't look at those things that are not in place as imperfections. We just look at them as things that are there, which are calling our attention to put the things in the right place because of what we see as the finished work. If you are a builder, that is what you look like, you will do. If you are an engineer and you want to build, that's what you will do, sir. What's all this noise? Let us destroy it and build again. Because I can see a pit, the other side, it's not well covered. And this wall is already too high. We're supposed to put the lintel here before we put this one. Why is this one? So let's scatter it now and start afresh. Seriously? And then this other attack, ferocious attack on Mr. Milan concerning how his mother came from Northwest Province, his father came from Western Province. Are you kidding me? And you are putting his, you are giving credence. You know, there are many arguments that if I present here, I will be giving credence to some voices. I will be validating some voices, some criticisms, making them legitimate. I will be endorsing them. So, as intelligent as you are, How can you question the nationality of somebody who's, at least you yourself, by your own criticism, you attest that one of his parents came from Amazonia? Seriously? So that's where we are now. We are in a place now that you seem to insinuate that if one of his parents did not come from, if both of his parents did not come from Amazonia, that person is not an Ambazonian enough? Seriously? Is that where we are now? These people who are making their contributions, their dollars, some people are working. Some of them, they are not even Ambazonian. They are only married to an Ambazonian. So seriously, that's what you want us to tell the world now? That if somebody, one of his parents only came from Amazonia, that person is not Ambazonian enough. He should come to the open and come and defend himself and explain so that it will not be a distraction. Who made that a distraction? It is you who is talking about it. It is you, sir, who is talking about it. Who made it a distraction? His mother was from Northwest. His father was from Western Province. So it's not Ambazonian enough. He should come and clear the air so that it will not be a distraction. What kind of distraction is that? See, I heard something like that. I read something like that. It has never crossed my mind to amount to a distraction. You have a problem. Those people who are fighting on ground zero, do you know who is their father, who is their mother? Do you know how many of them, some of them are not even their mother, some of them, not both parents are from Amazonia. They are fighting on them. Some have paid the price with their lives. Are you sitting there thinking that all of them, their parents came from Amazonia? Something is wrong with you. Kai. People are laying down their lives. You say, his two parents did not come from Amazonia, so it's not Amazonia enough. Okay. You want him to come and defend himself and defend himself. Why didn't you go and look at the Constitution, which is being drafted, and tell me if he is qualified? He needs to explain himself before he becomes a useful person in the struggle. Look at even the document we are using. Tell me whether that document puts to question his nationality before you can even make it a video, my brother. Oh. My brother Atam Milan, I salute you and I congratulate you. And any other person who is in his position, the interim government salute you and congratulate you. I don't care where one of your parents came from. That's Christopher Messner. He is there. He's a German citizen. But he's working for us and helping us in this struggle. I don't know if he's married to an Ambazonian or not. He has not become a distraction. It is somebody one of his parents was from Northwest. And he was born in Northwest. He has claimed, he has put his life on the line. In fact, if La République gets him, they are ready to put him down. And you are here telling us that he constitutes a distraction. He must come and explain how his other father came back from La République. Seriously? Wow. You have a big problem. You have a big problem. Tomorrow I will bring Dr. Nick, who is a psychologist, he is a clinical counselor. I am a biblical counselor. We have both PhDs. So we are going to combine the two. He will bring his clinical counseling skills. I will bring my Christian counseling skills. And we will work on some people so that they will still be useful for the revolution. It's a disgrace. Before I depart, let me tell you something. For those of you who are pushing the envelope, you are pushing the boundaries. You are pushing the borders. You want to do everything to put down the IG. Incidentally, the IG is led by a Southwesterner. For those of you who are pushing the boundaries, doing everything to bring down this government that we have put in place, I want you to remember one thing before tomorrow. I want you to remember that when the consortium started, it was a Southwesterner that was the head. And that helped us to destroy the divide between the Northwest and the Southwest. The Republic of Cameroon could not come in again as usual and use the Southwesterners against the Northwesterners and make the struggle a Northwest issue. It was impossible. I don't know the people, when they sat down to design it, they did not think like that, but God knew what he was doing. From the time the consortium was banned and the leaders were held in prison, Skakuf was created. People like Mr. Amfor, people who had the legitimate right to be the leaders of the revolution because of the historical precedents. They were able to come together to form a group, and they declined the leadership position, and they looked for who? They looked for a Southwesterner again. They did not really, I don't know if they knew, probably they knew, but God was at work. Yet again, the CPDM tried to use their method. The gangsters tried to use Musonge and the rest to go back to their playbook and use that to make this thing a Northwest issue, so that they can divide us. CPDM can take over the Southwest and then push them out and make the struggle look like a Northwest issue. Yet again, the wisdom of God went ahead, and we were able to come out victoriously. And today, the heart of the struggle is in the Southwest. This is no accident. We are paid for more in lives and properties more than the Northwest. These people, this mafia that is masterminded by Northwesterners, I want to say this. I've never said this before. You should be very careful. You should be very, very careful and think. If you want me to join you so that we can pull this thing down, I can join you so that we can pull this thing down. The IG will not be there anymore. We can pull it all down, destroy it, so that one of you Northwesterners, because I can see LGC, I can see Republic of Ambazonia, I can see SCY, I can see Morris, and so on. And I can see this hitman who went on media yesterday. All these people are from the Northwest. This is not a coincidence. Be very careful. Be very careful with what you are trying to do. You are trying to replace this government with who? With who? Let me talk about the common platform. Let me talk about the common platform, because I talked about it before. I am warning, you should be very careful. What you are trying to do now, La République is clapping. When they listen to that man make that video, which he thinks is popularity now, he has become very popular now, they were clapping. Because there is no surrogate of La République who would have said it better against the IG. He worked, he did a free job, if only he was not paid. I want to assume that he was not paid. I give him the benefit of the doubt. He did a fantastic job for the mafia gang. He did a fantastic job for the CPDM gang to bring down, to chop down the IG, which is the only organization that sends shockwave down the spine of La République. They cannot rest because international law requires us to have a government before we can really talk about autonomy or ask for validation. So they are in problem. And when they find a hitman like this one, who will be used to tear down that government so that it has no credibility, it has no future, it cannot function, they will be clapping. In fact, ask for a check. After that, they will send a check to that person. If they have not paid you in advance, they will send you a check. Because you have just done everything that the Republic wanted to do. To cast a cloud over the government. And make people like us who are working in the government to look like non-entities. Confuse people who don't know what we are doing. Let me tell you, you have to be very careful because you are pushing the boundaries. But I don't think you have taken time to think about the consequences if you succeeded. If we allowed you to succeed. And some of us, we hands off and we go and sit. Say, continue. Continue. You are the best. You are the best brains and everything. You are the people who have the zeal, who have everything. You have the entitlement. You are the most experienced people. You have all the knowledge. Take it over. This Northwest junta. Take it over. And form a government. Whether it's democratic or what, form it. You'll be shocked. You have not thought about some things. That's why I still give you a pass. Because you are redeemable. You have done so much, and you cannot allow everything to go down the drain. Because you cannot pick up your phone and talk to the people that you used to eat and dine with together. You want to grandstand on social media? You have a problem. We shall examine it more tomorrow. God bless you for watching. If you think this video is too long, send it to somebody and advise that person to eat well and take his Coca-Cola, sit somewhere and listen through. I will encourage you to share it and send it, spread it as wide as possible. There are excerpts that if you like, you can chop it down into different videos and share it on WhatsApp or whatever. Tomorrow, same time, this time it will be midday. I will be here with Dr. Nick. We want to examine some details about this issue. And as much as it lies in my power, I promise you, I will be here most of the days of the week. Same time. God bless the Republic of Ambazonia, formerly the British Southern Cameroon. Bye-bye.